we will talk about bitwise operators. As I told you in the beginning of the course, numbers are represented in binary in the machine, and a binary number is made of bits. And bitwise operators are operators that work on a bit level. Before, let me remind you that a variable of type char occupies 1 byte, which is 8 bits, so its value is represented in 8 bits. And in this video, as examples, we will use two char variables a and b initialized to 5 and 9 respectively. And they are represented like this in binary in 8 bits. Let's start with the bitwise not operator, represented by a tilde like this. This one is a unary operator. This operator will just return its operand with the reversed values of bits. For example, if we use it with our variable a, which is represented as 00000101, the result will be 11111010 in binary. 0b notation here is just used to precise that this is a binary number, but this result can be interpreted by two different ways. We can decide to interpret it as a signed integer, and in this case the result would be on 2's complement. And if we convert it to decimal, we get -6. And if we decide to interpret it as an unsigned integer, then in this case the result is in binary. And if we convert it to decimal, we get 250. Second bitwise operator is the bitwise AND. It's represented by a single ampersand, not like the logical AND. This one is a binary operator, and this operator occupies for each bit 1 if the bit of both operands is 1 and 0 otherwise, and it returns the result. So for example, if we use it with our variables a and b, it will check bit by bit and it writes 1 if the bit of a and the bit of b are 1 at that place. Otherwise it writes 0, as you can see with this animation. Here we have 0 because both are 0. Same thing here, same thing here, same thing here. Here the bit of b is 1, but it's not enough, so it puts 0. Same thing here, because they must both be 1. Same thing here, and in the last one we write 1 because both of them are 1. So this is the result, which represents 1 in binary. Third operator is the bitwise OR. It's represented by a single vertical bar, not like the logical OR. This one is also a binary operator, and this operator occupies for each bit 1 if at least one of the operand's bits is 1 at that place. So if we use it with our variables a and b, first we have 0, same thing here, same thing here, same thing here, and now we put 1 because the bit of b is 1 and it's enough. Same thing here, the bit of a is 1 and it's enough. Here we put 0, and in the last one we put 1 because at least one of them is 1. So this is the result, which represents 13 in binary. Next operator is the bitwise XOR, which is represented by a single caret like this. This one occupies for each bit 1 if only one of them is 1, otherwise it occupies 0. If we do it with our variables a and b, first we have 0 because both are 0, same thing here, same thing here, same thing here. Now we put 1 because only the bit of b is 1. Same thing here because only the bit of a is 1. Here we put 0, and in the last one we put 0 because they are both 1, and we said that only one of them must be 1. And here is the result, which represents 12 in binary. Next operator is the left shift operator. It's represented like this. This one returns the left operand with bits shifted by the value of the right operand to the left. For example, if we decide to get the value of a with bits shifted by 2 positions to the left, we write it like this. And this is the result, which represents 20 in binary. If we decide to get the value of b with bits shifted by 1 position to the left, we write it like this. And this is the result, which represents 18 in binary. But be careful, we can have a buffer overflow if we shift too much to the left, so the number of bits wouldn't be enough to support the result. Last operator is the opposite of the precedent one. It's the right shift operator, represented like this. This one returns the left operand with bits shifted by the value of the right operand to the right this time. For example, if we decide to get the value of a with bits shifted by 1 position to the right, we write it like this, and we get this result, which represents 2 in binary. If we decide to get the value of b with bits shifted by 1 position to the right, we write it like this, and this is the result, which represents 4 in binary. Note that you can use the bitwise operators except the first one as assignment operators like this. That was bitwise operators. It's not a problem if you didn't understand everything. These ones aren't the most important ones as a beginner. Check the resource of this lecture. And see you in the next chapter to talk about a very important thing, conditions. New chapter, conditions. As humans, we frequently make decisions in our daily life, and these decisions are generally based on conditions. For example, you may say, if it's cold outside, I wear a hoodie. Or, if I have enough money, I visit a new country. Let's analyze the first example. We can divide it in two parts. The left part, which is the condition, it can be either true or false. This is what we call a Boolean statement. And the right part is the action. So by saying this, you will first verify the condition. In other words, you check if it's cold outside, and if you find out that it's true, you will execute the action, which is wearing the hoodie. And if you find out that it's false, you won't execute the action. And this process is the same as the one we use for a condition in programming. We have a condition and we have instructions that will be executed or not, depending on if the condition is true or false. And we can make more complex conditions, for example, when we have multiple cases or when we have multiple conditions. We will see all of that in the next videos. So see you in the next video to talk about the if statement. Welcome to this video where we will talk about the if statement. Now that you understood the concept of a condition in the daily life, we will implement it in programming. Let's see the syntax. The syntax of a condition in C is very basic. You have the keyword if, followed by the condition in parentheses, and then the instructions between curly brackets. And these instructions will be executed only if the condition we put between parentheses is true. Let's use this schema to better understand how does it work. Here you have a condition. We said that it can be either true or false, so if it's true, we execute the instructions, then we move to the code that comes after the condition, and if it's false, we directly move to what comes after condition without executing the instructions. And because an example is better than 1000 words, let's see examples. We start with a basic one. Let's say if 10 is superior than 5, print condition is true. So here what's gonna happen? The computer gonna evaluate 10 is superior than 5, and if it's true, it will print condition is true. We all know that in fact 10 is bigger than 5, so when we compile, we get in console condition is true. And we're not obliged to put only one instruction, we can basically put an infinite number of instructions. And if we change the condition and make it false, for example 5 is smaller than 2, and we compile, we get nothing because the condition is false, so it didn't print. You can also put variables in a condition. For example, let's make a program that gives the absolute value of a number. The absolute value of a number is the distance between him and 0, and it's always positive. So the absolute value of 5 is 5, and the absolute value of minus 5 is also 5. It's like we're removing the minus sign. So what we're gonna do is that first we get a number from the user, and then if it's negative we multiply it by minus 1, so it becomes positive again. Take some seconds to try to make the program if you think you understood. Let's start now. First we need an integer variable, let's name it number. Then we tell the user to give its value. And now that we got the value, we can put the condition, if the number is smaller than 0. We multiply it by minus 1, and after it, we print it to see the result. Let's compile now. For example, if we give 6, we get 6, because the condition is false, and if we give minus 3, for example, we get 3, because the condition is true. Note that if you have only one instruction in your condition like here, you can avoid using curly brackets, so you can put everything in one line. But only if you have a single instruction. If you have 2 or more and you don't use brackets, the condition will take only the first one. You also have to know that you can use the logical operators we've seen to use multiple conditions. For example, if you want to know if a number is a multiple of 3 and 5 at the same time, we just put if number mod 3 is equal to 0 and number mod 5 is equal to 0. Okay, with the if statement we executed the instructions if the condition is true. but we did nothing if it's false. What if we wanted to execute specific instructions if the condition is false? This is what we're gonna see in the next video. Do the quiz that comes after this video and see you in the next one. Welcome to this video where we will talk about the else statement. In previous video, we used the if statement to execute instructions if the condition is true, but now we will learn to execute instructions in the other case, when the condition is false. Let's take back our first example. We said, if it's cold outside, I wear a hoodie. And what if it's not cold outside? We can say, if it's cold outside, I wear a hoodie, else I wear a shirt. Here we choose to do an action in each case. Now we will implement the else statement in C. We just have to write else, and then the instructions between curly brackets, and same as for if statement, if we have only one instruction, we can avoid using curly brackets if we want. But note that we can't use else statement without having an if statement just before, otherwise we would get an error. Let's take an example. We will make a program to see if a person has the majority age or not yet. For that, we need a constant variable named majority age. The majority age is 18. We choose the constant variable because the majority age won't change. And now we need a variable age to get the age of the user. Then we ask for the age. Now we make the if-else condition. A person has the majority age if her age is equal or greater than 18. So the condition is, if age is equal or greater than majority age, we print you have the majority age. And now we use the else statement to print you don't have the majority age. And if we compile and we give a number, for example 27, here the condition is true, so we have the majority age. And if we choose a number, for example 13, the program executes the instructions of else statement and we get you don't have the majority age. And obviously you can avoid curly brackets in both because we have only one instruction in each statement. And here is a little schema for what happens in if else. We have the condition, and if it's true, we execute these instructions, and if it's false, we execute these instructions. But in both cases, after it, we move to what comes after. Second example, we want to check if a number is even or odd. We know that a number is even if it's multiple of 2. So first we get a number from the user, and then we tell if it's even or odd depending on the number. So if number mod 2 is equal to 0, we print that it's even, else we print that it's odd. We can try compiling. If we choose 4 we get even, and if we choose 3 we get odd. Just an example. Before moving to what comes next, you have to know that the if statement and the else statement can't be executed together. It's one or another. It means that if we execute the instructions of the if statement, we directly jump to what comes next. In what we've done until now, we had only two cases, the case where the condition is true and the case where the condition is false. That's it. What if we wanted to have multiple cases? See you in the next video to talk about the else if statement. Welcome to this video where we will talk about the else if statement. In precedent videos, we used condition to handle only two cases, when the condition is true and when the condition is false. But we can do more. For example, you may say, when I'm on my phone, if I want to watch videos, I go on YouTube. Else, if I want to discuss with friends, I go on Messenger. Else, I go on Instagram. So what's gonna happen when you're on your phone? You will first check if you want to watch videos. If it's yes, you go on YouTube. And if it isn't the case, you will move to the second case. You will check if you want to discuss with friends. If it's yes, you go on Messenger. And if it's no, you go on Instagram. Here we introduce the else if statement. We use this statement when we want to add a new condition if the first one is false. And we can put any number of else if statements. We're not obliged to put only one. Let's see in second example to understand. Let's suppose you have a shoes factory that does wholesaling. So it sells in a large quantity. And you want to set the unit price depending on the quantity. For example, if the customer buys less than 30 shoes, the unit price is $100. Else, if he buys less than 50 shoes, the unit price is $80. Else, if he buys less than 75 shoes, the unit price is $60. Else, the unit price is $50. So let's analyze this. We have 4 cases. We will check the quantity and we will evaluate the condition by condition until we find the true one. Let's move to the IDE to implement this. The syntax of else if statement is nearly similar to if statements 1. We need the keyword else if, then the condition between parentheses, then the instructions between curly brackets, that you can avoid if there is only one instruction. So let's start. We have 2 variables, quantity and unit price. Now let's get the quantity from the user. We move to else if. Now we start the conditions. We said if the quantity is less than 30 unit, price is $100. Now we move to else if. Else if quantity is less than 50 unit, price is $80. Else if quantity is less than 75, unit price is $60. Else unit price is $50. So what did we do here in code? First we used the if statement. We must start by if. You can start by else if directly or else. Then we used our else if statements. Here we used 2, but we could use more. Then at the end we used the else statement. Note that you're not obliged to use the else statement. Same thing for else if. And at the end we will print the unit price for the user. Let's now execute this program. When we give the quantity, the program will execute the statements line by line. For example, if we give 43, we get unit price is $80, and if we give 90, we get that unit price is $50. I hope you understood the else if statement well. Try to do your own programs, don't limit yourself to the examples I give, and see what happens. Now let's move to the switch statement. See you in the next video. Welcome to this video where we will see the switch statement. The switch statement is just another way to set multiple choices depending on the value of a chosen variable. It means that we choose a variable, then inside the body we put the choices. Let's see the syntax of switch statement. First you have the keyword switch, then in parentheses you put the variable. We put a variable, not a condition, be careful. Then we have the body between curly brackets. Inside we will put the different cases. So to add a choice, you put the keyword case, then the value. It must be a value, not a variable. Then 2 points, and then you put the instructions that you want them to be executed if the variable you put here has this value. And at the end, you have to put the keyword break. Don't forget it, otherwise all the cases would be executed. Let's add another case. Same thing, we have keyword case, then the value, then 2 points, then instructions, then break statement. And we can continue like this by putting any number of cases we want. And at the end, you can use the keyword default to set the instructions for when the variable's value doesn't fit any case. It's like the else statement. So you put the keyword default, then 2 points, then instructions, and then break statement. Note that you're not obliged to use default. Now let's see an example. Let's say, for example, you're creating a console game and you want to give the user the possibility to choose an action when launching the game. He can choose to start a new game, continue the previous one, modify the settings, or exit the game. We have 4 choices. So let's start. We need a variable named action. Now let's show the choices to the user so he can choose. We have printf1 new game, 2 continue last game, 3 settings, and 4 exit. And now we scan his choice. Now we can start our switch statement. So the variable is action, then we have the case where action is 1, we print that he started a new game, and we break obviously. Case 2, we print that he's gonna continue the previous one and we break. Case 3, he goes to the settings, and case 4, he exits the game. And obviously in a real game there would be real actions, not just printing. And now we can set the default statement if he gives us a choice that is neither 1 nor 2 nor 3 nor 4. So we print that there is a choice error. And here we finished our switch statement. You can execute it on your machine and try different choices. You can also modify things to see what happens. Don't hesitate to make your hands dirty. Now we can move to the ternary operator. Welcome to this video where we will talk about the ternary operator. So basically the ternary operator is the only operator that takes 3 elements, and it's another way to express a condition. So let's see the syntax. Here you have the condition, then we have a question mark, after it comes the result if that condition is true, then we have comma, and then we have the result if the condition is false. And you have semicolon obviously. So let's see some examples. For example, you have two variables a and b and you want to find the maximum between them. For that, you have to compare a and b. By using if statement, we would write it like this. But here, it's better to use ternary operator by writing this. The condition is that a is bigger than b. If the condition is true, so we assign the value of a to max, else we assign the value of b. Second example, let's suppose you want to print fail or pass depending on the average. And the condition to pass is to get an average greater than or equal to 50. With if statement, we would write it like this. But by using ternary operator, we will print a string, and this string will be the string returned by the ternary operator. So the condition is average is greater or equal to 50. If it's true, the printed string will be pass. If it's false, it will be fail. Here are two output examples. Be careful while using the ternary operator, because putting long expressions in it will provoke a bad readability. In that case, use if-else statements instead. See you in the next video to talk about the nested conditions. Welcome to this video where we will see the nested conditions. In previous videos, we said that the if statement has a body, and inside we write the instructions that will be executed if the condition is true. But what if in those instructions we put another if statement like this? This is what we call nested conditions. Let's directly see an example. Let's suppose you're running a small restaurant, and in the menu we can find main dishes and desserts. In main dishes you have cheeseburger and you have chicken wings, and in desserts you have fruit salad, banana split and chocolate waffles. So when the customer wants to order, you will first ask him if he wants a main dish or dessert, and inside of each case you will ask him for the dish choice. And you will add a nested conditions. Let's start. So first we ask main dish or dessert, then we have two cases. Inside of each one we print the available dishes to get choice. Then we add the nested if. Here we will just print the ordered dish. Here are some output examples. But we could do more. We could even add another nested condition, so we can get nested conditions on deeper levels. Just be careful on the syntax and the brackets, because you have to close them all in the right way. And you can do the same thing with switch statement and ternary operator. So this is the end of this chapter. In the next chapter we will talk about loops, another important programming concept. See you there!